These haunted lighthouses hiding very tragic pasts will shock you and make you never look at a lighthouse the same again. The Smalls Lighthouse tragedy. Now, the Smalls Lighthouse rises from the storm-tossed waters of the Celtic Sea just off the coast of Wales. It seems like a lonely sentinel, guarding against shipwrecks, but the sea it watches over has claimed far more than ships. It has claimed sanity and even life itself. The lighthouse was built in 1776 at the demand of merchant shipping companies' frustrations who were losing both vessels and profit in these waters. Dock Master Phillips got approval for the construction and bizarrely went with musical instrument makers Henry Whiteside's design for the lighthouse. Now, this turned out to be a bad choice. In 1801, two men, Thomas Howell and his assistant Thomas Griffith, who were stationed there, being a lighthouse keeper then was not really a glamorous job. It was a test of endurance, patience, and mental fortitude. Now, the Smalls Lighthouse was isolated, battered by wind, waves, and freezing spray. Food was scarce and supplies had to be hauled up, precautiously, and contact with the mainland was very rare, sometimes non-existent for weeks. Now, during their shift though, Griffith passed away suddenly. Some say it was illness, others whisper that the harsh conditions drove him to a fatal mistake. Howell, left alone, faced an impossible problem. How could he deal with the corpse when he had no tools or help? He did the unthinkable. He lashed Griffith's body to the outside of the lighthouse. Day after day, the corpse kind of swung in the wind, and Howell was forced to live with it. Sailors who passed the lighthouse later reported seeing the skeletal arms sway in the wind, an eternal ghastly kind of reminder of, just isolation and demise. Now, the psychological toll was unimaginable. Howell himself later recounted feeling haunted, sometimes seeing Griffith's shadowy figure moving in corners where no one could, and this gruesome tragedy spurred authorities to rethink lighthouse staffing, increasing crews from 2 to 3 men for both safety and just mental well-being. The Blue Lady of Hilton Head Island. Now, this is devotion beyond demise. Now, the Blue Lady of Hilton Head is a ghost story about Caroline, the daughter of a 19th century lighthouse keeper at the Hilton Head Island Rear Range Lighthouse, or Leamington Lighthouse. Now, the Hilton Head Island Lighthouse in South Carolina is famous not just for guiding ships, but for spirits that roam its lantern room. This is the tale of Caroline Fripp, who again is the daughter of lighthouse keeper Adam Fripp. Now, it was 1893 and a devastating hurricane slammed the coastline. Adam, a man known for his diligence, refused to leave his post. The light had to stay lit, he believed, to protect the sailors who relied on it. But during the hurricane, he collapsed and passed away in the lantern room, his heart unable to withstand the storm. Caroline, only a young woman, promised to stay and keep the light functioning, so she took up her father's mantle. She donned a flowing blue dress, the color her father had always admired, and climbed the spiral staircase into the lantern room. Now, for a week, she maintained the light, sometimes alone, often in darkness, listening to the wind screaming through the treetops and waves smashing against the shoreline. She worked tirelessly through the storm. Exhausted, she too succumbed, but legend says her spirit never left. Caroline was buried in a blue dress, and which she was wearing when she worked the light. Visitors often report seeing a figure in blue moving along the lighthouse spiral stairs or glimpsing her reflection in the glass of the lantern room during storms. Some claim the light flickers when no storm is present, as if Caroline is still making sure it stays on. Now, paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained cold spots, faint footsteps inside the lighthouse, especially near the lantern room, and to commemorate the legend, the Palmetto Dunes Resort actually created a Blue Lady IPA beer. The Seguin Island Lighthouse. Now, this is the piano that played for the deceased. The legend of the Seguin Island Lighthouse involves a 19th century lighthouse keeper who, driven mad by his wife's repetitive playing of a single piano tune on their isolated island, axed the piano, unalived her, and then himself. So on Seguin Island off the coast of Maine, a lighthouse sits kind of harsh between, winds and rolling waves. It's small but foreboding, and with a tale that combines isolation, obsession, and tragedy. In the early 1800s, a lighthouse keeper brought his young wife to the island. It was a lonely existence. Weeks could pass without seeing another human, so to occupy her, he got her a piano and shipped it to the island, and it was a gift meant to provide comfort, but soon a chilling pattern emerged. She learned only one song, played it over and over and over, day after day. Sailors reported hearing the melody drifting over the water, very eerie and, insistent. Now, the repetition wore on the keeper's mind. He became convinced that the piano, and perhaps his wife herself, was trying to drive him mad. One night, in a frenzy, he destroyed the piano, and in his very deranged state, took his wife's life. Soon after, he ended his own life. Now, the island was left in silence. Today, the piano's tune is actually said to haunt the island. Visitors report hearing faint notes in, the dead of night, even when no instrument is present. Shadows are seen moving in the lighthouse, and some say the couple's spirits replay the final moments of their tragic lives. Anyone who visits claims to still hear the faint sound of the piano, and one of historians, Jeremy de Torment, has found no evidence to support these stories, suggesting it is likely fiction, but during the summer months, visitors can take a ferry from Poppin Beach for tours of the island. Now, despite its spooky and very haunted past, the island does offer a unique blend of just natural beauty and a chance to explore the history and the legends of the lighthouses there. So if you're ever in the area, go visit and report back to us. The St. Augustine Lighthouse. Now, this is the Pittee sisters' haunting. The St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida is not just a beacon, it's a monument to tragedy. Now, after being darkened during the Civil War on June 1st, 1867, the old Spanish watchtower once more became a functioning lighthouse with the return of its light. Nevertheless, though, it soon became clear that the structure would soon lose the battle with Mother Nature as the sea continued to erode the land around the lighthouse. After several reports to the United States Lighthouse Board referencing the erosion and, encroaching seas, Congress approved the money for a new St. Augustine Lighthouse Tower. The construction of the tower began in 1871, but what was supposed to be a benefit to public transportation and safety soon turned to tragedy. So Hezekiah Pittee, a lighthouse keeper, moved his family from Maine to oversee the lighthouse construction in the 1870s. His daughters Mary, Eliza, and little Carrie were a very lively presence, exploring the site as it was being built. Now, just as any children would, the Pittee children turned the construction site into a playground, inviting the children of the workers into their fun. A railway cart moved the supplies from supply ships docked at Salt Run to the building site. Now, riding the cart down to the water was a favorite pastime for the Pittee children. They used the cart as a Victorian era kind of roller coaster, riding the cart to the water and bringing it back up to the site to ride again. Only a wooden board at the end of the rail stopped the cart from tipping over into the water. One fateful day, however, a cart carrying the girls and I believe another child, which was their friend, overturned near the water. Carrie, the youngest, was saved, but Mary and Eliza drowned. Now, the grief that followed left a mark not just on the family, but on the lighthouse itself. Now, in the 145 years since the accident, strange occurrences have been repeatedly attributed to the spirits of the girls. In 1955, the lighthouse lamp was fully automated, and the United States Coast Guard replaced lighthouse keepers with a position called lamp lighter. Now, the local lamplighter had all the duties of a light keeper, but did not live on site. As a result, the keeper's house was rented for a time. A local man who crafted leather goods rented the property during the 1960s. Now, he tells the story of waking up one night with a small girl standing by his bed. As he blinked his eyes to look at her, she disappeared. Another evening, a female guest on a Dark of the Moon tour was standing on the first step of the metal lighthouse staircase. When she took her first step to climb the tower, she found her shoelace tied to the staircase. Whether it was a ghost or her companion playing a trick, we really can't say. Now, visitors now report the giggles of children echoing through the spiral staircases, shadows kind of fitting across the walls, and cold spots near areas associated with the girls passing. Some have even claimed to see two figures holding hands, watching from the lighthouse windows. Paranormal investigations have captured unexplained sounds and moving shadows, strengthening the belief that the Pittee sisters remain guardians of the lighthouse and its light. The Pointe Barques Lighthouse, the keeper who never left. Now, the keeper who never left refers to the legend of Catherine Shook, Michigan's first female lighthouse keeper at Pointe Barques, who is said to haunt the lighthouse after her husband drowned in 1849. While no actual keeper has permanently remained, Catherine is said to be seen in mourning clothes on the cliffs or in the lighthouse window, with visitors reporting strange occurrences. Michigan's Pointe Barques Lighthouse stands on the edge of Lake Huron, a solitary sentinel in a landscape of storms and just shipwrecks. Now, since its construction in 1847, it has seen countless tragedies. One tale tells of one keeper's wife who also fell to her demise while navigating the narrow spiral staircase during a blizzard. Staff report seeing her figure in a long white gown and feeling sudden chills near the staircase. Locals call her Lighthouse Lucy, a spirit said to linger in a protective, sometimes mischievous, kind of watch over the building. Over the years, multiple shipwrecks occurred near the lighthouse, each adding to its, spectral population. Visitors have reported hearing ghostly voices calling for help, seeing lights flicker without cause and doors opening on their own. Investigators have documented unexplained electromagnetic activity and temperature fluctuations. Footsteps and giggling have also been heard on the lighthouse top stairs. Now, the combination of the lighthouse's history of tragedy and these ghostly accounts makes this site a popular location for ghost hunters. This lighthouse now serves as a museum, but its ghostly residents seem unwilling to leave a haunting reminder of, the lives of those who maintained the light and the waters it watched over. These haunted lighthouses, each with their tragic past, often, they offer more than just ghost stories. They tell stories of isolation, bravery, and obsession, where the line between life and demise, reality and legend blurs. When you you walk the staircases, listen to the wind against the glass, or feel the cold seep into your bones. Remember, some lights never go out, and some spirits never leave. Which lighthouse would you want to visit? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Ashley. I'll see you later. These haunted ships still drifting at sea will either make you want to go see them immediately, or make you want to stay away from the water forever. Now, the vanishing of the Mary Celeste. Imagine setting sail across the vast Atlantic, the wind in your hair, the horizon stretching endlessly before you, only to come across a ship completely deserted, the crew nowhere to be found. Well, that is exactly what happened with Mary Celeste in 1872. The ship was discovered drifting aimlessly in the Atlantic, completely seaworthy, with food in the galley, supplies intact, and the personal belongings of the crew untouched. Yet, the entire crew, including the captain, his family, and the ship's crew of 7, had vanished into thin air. No struggle, no sign of foul play, just emptiness. The Mary Celeste had left New York bound for Genoa, Italy, carrying a cargo of denatured alcohol. Now, the ship's last log entry was 10 days prior to its discovery, when the crew of the British brig Di Grazia found the ship near the Azores. It seemed